about the tools and the tips that you're going to want to know, okay? If you're afraid of Google Sheets, I really hope in this video you learn to not be afraid of Google Sheets. It can be a really good companion for you as an educator. Speaking of companions, let's jump back over to our companion document. We're going to jump to the Sheets section, and right here we have all of the things we're going to cover. And you're going to open up your practice page and kind of follow along as we practice the different tools. Remember, this section is for your notes, and then everything hyperlinked are examples that you have to take on, use, remix, and modify to incorporate in your classroom. All right, let's jump to my practice sheet here where I just have the Jester Kids kind of named out. One of the first things that we're going to talk about are the insert options that you have in Google Sheets. So in Google Sheets, under the Insert button, there are tons of features here. Let's take a look at the checkboxes. So in order to add a checkbox, notice how it went over here, wherever the slide was selected. So let's say I wanted to put a checkbox by my students' names. I would select the cells and go to Insert and add a checkbox. This would be great if you were trying to keep track of who maybe turned something in or completed a task. So checkboxes are super fun and easy to incorporate. Side note, take a look at how they change when I change the color of the text. It actually changes the color of the box. And so that was right here. I selected it and I went over to the text color. And when you change it, it changes the color of the box. So it's just a little fun thing for those of you who care. Another feature under Insert are the drop downs. We talked about drop downs in Google Docs, but this is also a feature in Sheets. So you might have completed, maybe they completed a task, it's not completed, or maybe they are still working. Add another item. And then you can add whatever text you want here. You can change the colors. I would want that to be green. And then not completed red, and maybe they're still working on it orange. So you can change the colors there and add the drop downs. And so here you can change that. Now you can copy it and paste it to another cell, just like that. Or you can grab that little dot and drag down. And then it applies the formula that you gave to that cell to the other cells underneath it. It's pretty cool. And then you can go through and kind of make notes of where your students are. And I need a little bit more space to read that. I'm just going to grab the top of that column and size over so that I can read it completely. Some other drop or insert options that we have, you actually have the option to insert images and drawings. Okay, so insert images, you can insert an image over a cell or in a cell. Let's go ahead and practice inserting an image in a cell. Now, as you're practicing, you can watch some and practice on the ones that you really want to practice on, but you can insert an image that you have or one that you find. I'm just going to keep with our beach theme, and I'm going to find, oh, that looks great, a cool picture of a beach, and I chose to put it in the cell. So if you want it to fit in the cell, notice how it's kind of tiny there. So I would need to make my cells bigger if I wanted it to actually be seen, but that could be kind of cool. If you want, the other way to insert is to put it over the cell. So here I have an image and I'm going to put it on top of the cell just so you can kind of see the difference there. Here's that same image and now it's over the cell and I can grab it and just kind of resize it and move it around wherever I like. So those are two ways to insert images. You can also insert a drawing. And so this is going to pull up your Google Drawings or put one in, like create one to put in this space. We've talked a lot about Google Drawings in our other videos. And so if you're not familiar with that, go back and watch those videos. But this is a great way for you to add any kind of an activity you would want students to click on and do or build. They can build out here in drawing. And then when you save and close, here's what it looks like. So it's kind of on top and then I can grab that. Again, I can resize it. I can move it around if I was going to assign that to students. And then for them to interact with it, they would double click to open and interact with the drawing. So that is a really cool feature also in Sheets. So those were all insert options in Google Sheets. There's a ton more there, but those were the ones I wanted to show you first. Okay, let's jump back to our practice page. And the next thing I want to show you Wrapping and rotation. So right here, I put a lot of words that kind of overlap the cell, but if you want it to wrap around, you can go here to this little shortcut that says text wrapping, and you can select the wraparound feature, and then it fits it into the cell space. Another way to access that is to go under format and then you have a wrapping and you can let it overflow or you can wrap it from format and that's wrapping. Okay, so those are ways you can wrap your text. Another thing that teachers like to know how to do is how to change kind of the alignment, like the rotation of it. And so here I'm going to select the student name and I'm going to go back to format, and under rotation, you can actually tilt your word. So you can stack the word vertically like that. It's kind of neat. Or you might want to format it and text it or have it just rotate vertically. So that's kind of fun to play with in Google Sheets that I think a lot of teachers don't use enough. Now, let's talk about formulas, okay? I don't want you to be overwhelmed by formulas, but I do think if you don't know anything, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks of how to use the formulas and where you can get more formulas. So let's say I'm tracking some data on my students and I want to use a formula. Well, I could just simply go into the cell and hit the equal sign and start typing the word sum, and then it will ask me what values I want, and I can select them with my mouse like that and hit enter. And then look what happens. It's getting smarter in your sheets and it will suggest that you continue. It's like, hey, you might want to do this. Do you want to autofill with the same formula in these other cells? Yes, I do. You can hit that check mark and it applies. Or even grabbing that dot and turning it into the little cross and then dragging down actually applies the same formula over and over. So kind of checking how you want to do that, but that is how you can insert formulas in that way. I think it's cool to note that ChatGTP, which is this AI feature right here, you would have to have an account if you want to use ChatGTP, but you can always prompt it and ask it for certain formulas, and it will spit out all kinds of formulas for you. You can even ask for a list of formulas. So in every Google program that you're in, if you click the help button, you can actually get help for that program right within. So I hit help, and then I need to find where are formulas. And right here, it's like, how do you add formulas and functions? And it takes you here. There's video tips of how to do it on your computer, how to do it on a phone or an iPad, how to use the formula. It even will take you to a list of formulas. So grabbing right here from within the help feature is a great way to find the formulas that you would need. You can even grab your data right here and you can go to insert and you can add a chart. And so it'll take your selected data and you can see the different chart types that you might want as you're analyzing data. This is a great for students if they're collecting data in your class, or if you want to have digital portfolios for students and data trackers where they can not only keep track of their own data, but also kind of see different views with different charts. And you can change what's on the X and Y axis. You can rename things, really customize it, change the colors, everything that you want on that chart. It's pretty cool. And then you can even download just the chart. And so grab it as an image file. So that is kind of a little bonus feature. So we talked about insert options, text wrapping, and formulas in Google Sheets. There is so much more. Let's go next to conditional formatting. One of my tricks when we're adding conditional formatting, and that's when you want to color the cells, kind of put a rule on the sheet so as data is entered, it knows what to color the cell for quick visual representation, is I go over here to this ghost box. What this ghost box does is it selects the entire sheet for you. So it'll apply whatever rule that you create for a whole sheet. Now, if you need to break it down into different cells, you can, but this is a great way to apply to a whole sheet. You would go over to Format and Conditional Formatting, and it pulls up the formatting place for you to go ahead and put whatever rules in. You can format a single color or do a color scale, whatever you need. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on single color. And I'm going to go ahead and create a numerical one. So I want my data to kind of show me really focusing on numbers. I want to see if they failed or they passed or if they like super succeeded, right? So I'm going to say if the value is less than 70, I want the cell to turn red. Then I'm just going to go here and do that. Actually, I don't like that red. I'm going to change that real fast. Okay. And then I'm going to hit done on that rule, but I want to add another one. So I'm just going to click this plus sign. Now I'm going to add a new rule. Now I'm going to go back to the format rules and I'm only focusing on data. You can do this with text, and I'm going to give you some websites of how you can get more into that if you want to get more into that. Now I'm going to say if the number is less than or equal to, so I'm going to say if it's less than or equal to 79, we're going to do yellow. Okay. Or you can add in a range. Okay. So you can do the range too. So is between would also work. This one, I'm going to do 80 to 100 and I'm going to change it blue. And so now those are the 3 rules I wanted, but you can keep adding more rules if you want. And again, you can add rules for text-based answers as well. I just did numerical because that was just the data I'm tracking. So here I can see quickly their scores. And so if I had a bunch of students and a bunch of scores and a bunch of assignments, it'd be a quick view for me to see, ooh, Heidi girl needs some work. Okay. So play with that option and add your conditional formatting to really make your data pop and make it visual for you. Now let's talk about freezing. Let's say I wanted to freeze this whole first row. I'm just going to make it black so you guys can visually see that. Like here's my first row. Maybe I got something important here, like all my categories are titled, and I want to freeze it so when I scroll down, I don't lose it. Well, you can just select the entire row right here on the corner by selecting that number 1. And I'm going to actually go to view and freeze. And then you can freeze up to however many rows. I'm just going to freeze row 1, but you can also freeze columns. So if I had a header and my students' names, let's say I wanted to freeze that one too. I'm just going to go to view and I want to freeze column 1. And so now as I move the document, those 2 things stay in place. So if I'm moving sideways or up and down, I've got certain cells frozen so I can always see them. So freezing cells is a great skill to know how to do. Wow, we covered a lot with Google Sheets on the tools and tips of how to navigate the different options. Let's jump in the next video into ideas of how you can actually implement this for students in the classroom and maybe some ideas for you as a teacher. Enjoy.